Well, any opportunity to visit with Dwight Freeney is a good occasion, and it's great to see you, my man. Looking forward to having you back on campus for your NFF and College Football Hall of Fame recognition. And you're looking well, and I hope you're excited to come back, as excited as we are to see you.
No, absolutely. This is I always call Syracuse the home away from home. It was a great spot for me. And to go back to the Carrier Dome, man, come on. And that's one of the loudest buildings that I've ever played in my entire career, man. So I can't wait to see home again.
And that's from someone who played even indoors, right? A lot of your pro
Oh,
career
yeah.
with Colts, so you've got something to compare it to.
No, absolutely. I don't know what it is, if more of the seats were concrete or what, but it was just like that noise used to bounce around like crazy. Could not hear anything when that thing is packed.
Well, Dwight, the news really that brings you back is that you've been selected into the College Football Hall of Fame. Certainly deserving. You're deserving of the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. As far as the College Football Hall of Fame is concerned, you go in with certainly some Syracuse dignitaries through the years. The first, though, since Art Monk. So it's been a minute since there's been a player of your caliber to be inducted in this way. What's it mean to you?
I mean, it means everything, to be quite honest with you. It's one of those things where you don't think about it, you play, you have fun, and all of a sudden when it's all done, you get all these accolades, but you can remember it's not just about you, it's about people who helps you get there. So this is a celebration, yes, for me, but all those who had a part in me doing what I do and what I did in college.
You're a Bloomfield, Connecticut guy and came to Syracuse, of course, linked to Coach Pasqualoni. So let's start there. But when you do think about those names and those that helped you and sparked your career, what memories come to mind?
I mean, it's so much, you're going from high school, and to college. And I think that's probably one of the biggest jumps that you can have. High school program, you go out there, you're just the best athlete, and that's it. And you don't have to have any technique. You don't have to do anything. You're just going to be faster and stronger than everybody else. You can make every play. But when you go to college, then you have to transition to knowing schemes, getting in your playbook, and hopefully that athleticism is still, one of the top, on the team or on the field at that moment. So when you get a coach like Paul Pasqualoni, where he is so detailed oriented, he transformed me from just being a kid to a man by the time I was done.
You certainly did have athletic gifts and attributes, but your reputation is, among others, is maybe the best spin move in the history of football.
Mhm.
Where did that come in for you in terms of your development? And is that what helped you sort of bridge that gap? Because the line play, especially, is where you see that difference, right? If you're making a jump from high school to college and then college to pro.
For me, I was a big and one mixtape basketball guy growing up. All right, this is when and one mixtapes were just everywhere. And they used to do crazy, for those who don't know, they used to do crazy basketball moves that were all traveling. None of them could actually happen in the real game. But when I was in high school, I was on the practice field one day and I said, you know what? I want to kind of bring this to the game of football. What can I do to make that offensive tackle look absolutely silly, most ridiculous? And that's where it started to develop in high school. And so I've been doing it since then. And once I got to college, trying to find ways to perfect that move with everything else I had to learn was just something that you had to, figure out, day by day, practice by practice. But, doing it as long as I've been doing it, by the time I got to college, it was pretty much well oiled by then.
Did those skills ever translate to the basketball court? I know you guys in the off season, you all love to think of
Oh,
yourselves as ballers.
as long as there wasn't a ref. If there was a ref, I'd be traveling every single time. That's probably why I stopped playing basketball, because I got called for traveling on the post. I used to do a little low post move, and I used to spin off that guy. And they would call travel every single time.
And now golf is your game,
Yeah.
well chronicled. You've got some famous golf partners, and you've gotten your handicap down low. We know you've been out to the courses here on campus and at Turning Stone and that type of thing. So what's that mean to you to have the golf bug at this stage in your life?
Oh man, it came at the perfect time, to be quite honest with you. And the thing is about golf is it's nobody's else fault but your own. Why the ball doesn't go where you can't blame anything. You can't blame anybody. And it's just you and that ball. And that's why I love it because you can go out there and no excuses, no explanations. Go out there and hit that ball where you need to hit it. And if you don't go, you look in the mirror. It's you. So it gives me an opportunity to work on something. And obviously it's low impact. So you don't have to worry about the joints. And you can do this, for the next 30, 40 years, hopefully.
We all still do it though, right? You yell at yourself, you yell at the ball, you yell at the wind.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. It doesn't really marry really well with former football players sometimes, especially defensive guys, because the worse it gets on the golf course, the harder you want to hit the ball and the worse you get to play. So
Well, as your boy Coach P would say, you're in the deep end of the pool when it comes to your golf partners, though, right? If Michael Jordan's your golf partner, you've got to have some stories about those battles, and certainly one of the most unreal competitors in any sport in America.
no, absolutely. And it's just so funny. You sit there, you grew up watching him, and all of a sudden, you become best friends with the guy, and you see that same look that he would have, in the fourth quarter, game on the line, and he has to hit a jumper. Well, I see that same look consistently on the golf course when he has to make a big putt and the team needs it. So
Love it. And you're a great teammate as well. Is that really the top of your memory, Dwight? All these guys and all of you that go on, you have great careers. You're a 7-time Pro Bowler, and it almost seems to be to a man when you have to hang up the cleats the final time. What do you think about the most? And it's the camaraderie, the locker room, and even more so at the time in college and the brethren then. What are your recollections of your time as a Syracuse football player in that way?
well, I think it's everything. It's all a mixed bag of emotions and just you can't. Everything matters. There's I can't just pick one thing. It wasn't just the plays that I made or the plays that we made. It was the camaraderie in the locker room. It was the grind to get there. It was the practices. Those experiences, they all mean something. And for me, when I retired from the game of football, I would say those are all things that were missed, and it's hard to replicate. I think the biggest thing that you can never replicate, though, is when you're out in that field. I like to, I guess, compare it to something that people may understand a little bit. If you watch the movie Gladiator, the guy comes out the tunnel and he's talking about 70, 80,000 screaming Romans screaming your name type of adrenaline. It's that type of thing where, never again will I be able to run through a tunnel and make a play on the field and have 60, 70, 80,000 fans screaming. It's like an adrenaline rush. It's like a drug that we'll never be able to have again.
So that's on the field, and anybody can see how that would be intoxicating. But to be as good as you were, you have to embrace the grind. And for years, you've come back here to Central New York in the summers when you were a player, when you maybe wanted to get away and focus on your workout regimen. That's one of the ways you've been connected to the program. Why was that important to you?
You understand is that, what's not broke, don't try to fix it, right? When I came back to Syracuse, I had a regimen. I had a sense of, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is how I feel about it when I do it. This is the coach who coached me through it. Familiar type of feeling. And when you get back to the basics, get back to foundation, those types of things can take you further. And I think for me, when I came back to Syracuse, when I was a pro player, it had a lot to do with just getting back to that familiar place, that place where I know I can grind.
You've been very generous with your time in the build up to this Boston College game, November 3rd, where you'll be honored. You don't have to be. I mean, that's obviously because you care. Is there a message sent to the alumni and former players about what you can do to stay connected and the benefits of that?
I would just tell all the guys, sometimes, we have our outside lives that we're focused on, and understanding when the older you get, when you got kids, you got to run around, you got to handle this, you got to do that. But it's always good to get back and get back home, as I call it, your second home, back to Syracuse where it started. There's a lot there that, they love the players there, the coaches there, the fans there, love to see the guys come back. You connect to, they connect memories and they connect that emotion, and it helps everybody just around the ball. I guess everybody in the building, outside the building, when you have those former players come back, man. And it's going to help you too. If they come back, they're going to have those feelings and emotions come back. So it's really a great feeling.
We can't let you go, Dwight, during Virginia Tech week without touching on that game. It's one of the things you're most known for in your Syracuse experience. 4.5 sacks against another great player in Michael Vick. How high does that rank for you on your list of memories here? And I'm sure it gets brought up a lot for you.
No, absolutely. It's one of the biggest memories I've had. Unfortunately, we lost that game. So it's like, you wanted to win. When you have a 4.5 sack game and you still lose the game, it's like a bittersweet type of thing. But those feelings, those plays that I made, I think that offensive tackle is still in his stance right now. That's how I feel. That's how it was in that particular game. Michael didn't have a chance because I was getting to him before he can get going. That's the only way I could get to him. So it was a memory that I will remember forever, man. And it's always going to be something special for me.
We're looking forward to seeing you November 3rd. It's a Friday night, Boston College. That's a regular opponent going back to the 50s. So you played them in all your time here. What thoughts will be going through your head when we can love you up at halftime of that game?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be flooded with emotion, man. Just because it was some place that was so connected to me, and I'm so honored to be honored in this type of way, and in this type of place. It's going to be a great feeling.
Last thing I'm thinking about, Dwight, is there's got to be one time. You guys always say, well, give me one more rep, right? So one time on 3rd and 8, can you get suited up, put your hand in the turf here and let it rip one time?
Yeah, I'll let it rip. It's called a hamstring. Yeah, that's what's going to rip. right. As soon as I get off the ball.
All right, man. Great stuff. Continued success to you. Congratulations as the Halls of Fame mount up. Certainly very deserving. We're looking forward to seeing you here for that Friday night game against BC.
There's no problem. Thanks for having me.